Happy Wednesday night, Kings fans. For the second time in just under a week, the Kings match up with the Warriors down in San Francisco. We will get you all ready for tip-off. Jerry, Grant here at halftime. Grant and I will wrap things up later tonight. This is the pregame show. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. Should have said that before. This is the pregame show on If You Don't Like That.
3, 2, 1, go.
Sacramento miscue. Carter, stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball. Fox, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation point from De'Aaron Fox. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Boy, that's an ESPN highlight right there. Whoa. Carlson comes in. How about this? Holy moly, Jim Bob Foley. That is a major league smush.
Boom, major league smush. Welcome in. Thanks for tuning into the pregame show here on If You Don't Like That. So before the show started, I saw this comment, and I've got to read it as I imagine it being said. It's from BJ. Yo, Napier. I was at the Lakers game. Second time I was in the arena. Wow, has the game changed in the crowd. The play was pretty erratic and definitely looked like the beginning of the season. Yeah, BJ, it was, well, you should have been at the Warriors game. That one was a little bit more erratic. But, yeah, it's the beginning of the season, working out the kinks. But the fans brought it against the Lakers. I thought that was a better crowd than opening night at home with the Golden State Warriors, who the Kings see tonight. Got some football talk going on. Here we go. Really impressed with the Raiders. Yeah, and Antonio Pierce. They fired Josh McDaniels, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, Antonio Pierce or the press conference today sounded really confident. Sounded like the guys needed to get some stuff off their chest, but we will mostly stick to basketball. BJ says, yo, again. Brandon, what's up, my man? Thank you so much for tuning in tonight to the pregame show. If you didn't catch the quick open, Grant and Jerry will be here breaking it down at halftime, and then Grant and I will have post-game coverage as normal. If you are new to the channel, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And we appreciate you being here. We're going to be here all season giving you premium content. So we'll get to Alberto really quick. No Lyles today. Thanks, Alberto. You're doing my job for me. I don't see this game being competitive. Interesting. I can see Draymond having a huge game. Yeah, I mean, you could see any of the Warriors having a huge game. Look at how they play basketball. I mean, there was a lot of guys that were quiet in that first game. Andrew Wiggins, quiet. They could come out. Klay Thompson, only 4 points in the first half, finishes with 18. So we will see what they do. But, yeah, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. We certainly know about the injury to De'Aaron Fox. He has a moderately sprained right ankle, an ankle that he's dealt with in the past many times in college, had some sprained ankle issues. He will be out, and I would expect, Grant and I, maybe we see things a little bit different. He thinks the way De'Aaron approaches the game, that De'Aaron's going to really try to be back on that court as soon as possible. I'm not so sure. I know De'Aaron will want to get back as soon as possible, but this is the start of the season, and you got to be a little bit conservative, in my opinion. I mean, De'Aaron's the guy for the Kings. Whether you want to say it's Sabonis, whether it's going to be anybody else this season, it's De'Aaron. And I think we know that just by the pace of play in which the Kings want to play. We know he's the only guy on the team that can get to the rack at will. I know Monk is a close second, but there is still a huge gap between those two guys. So De'Aaron will be out tonight. Trey Lyles, as Alberto said, he is still out. The Kings transaction today, it's not finalized, but they're going to be picking up Philip, and I need our people from Serbia to pick me up, Philip Prusirfov or something like that. He's coming over from the Clippers as part of the James Harden deal. Looks like the Clippers are going to be getting rid of him. he would get the 15th spot on the Kings roster, basically give him a couple-week tryout to see how he works out. The one thing I do know about his game is he was really good for the Serbian national team, and he was a big part of what they did. So we'll see if he works out here in Sacramento. Sacramento has a big history with Serbian players and success of Serbian players. So Monty McNair has been very intentional about the moves that he makes with this Kings team. So I would expect this to be another one of those. And whether he stays on the main roster or he goes down to Stockton, it's another guy. He's 6'11" center. Looks a little bit more skinny. Looks like he can get up and down a little bit more. Not a bigger guy. So we'll see what he does. But that will likely get finalized here in the coming days. And as always, guys, please get your messages in. I'm seeing them already. Really appreciate it. For the Warriors, they're going to pretty much be at full load. Draymond's back, as Alberto mentioned. Warriors coming off of a 3-game winning streak. So they head in tonight 3-1. They're playing good basketball. Chris Paul has really made a difference for that basketball team and allowed Steph Curry to play off the ball. Steph averaging a little bit better than 33 a game already in the early season. So Steph, I would expect a heavy dose of him, and we'll get into this point guard position for the Kings, what they do. C-Dog's already chiming in there. C-Dog's saying Monk, not Mitchell, is the X factor tonight. Yeah, I think it's kind of the obvious one, right? I'm going to go a different way. I think it's got to be Keegan Murray, because Keegan's going to get some time. When Draymond, he's going to get significant time on Draymond at times on defense, because they love running that pick and roll. And one thing that Steve Kerr is great about is targeting the matchups that they want that are not currently on the ball. So Keegan's going to be all over the court, but he's the guy that's going to have to take the reins scoring-wise. You know what you're going to get from Sabonis. Sabonis, who had a quiet game last game against the Lakers, only scored 8 points, or he only had 8 shots. He did have another double-double. But Keegan's got to get it going for the Kings tonight. And he's played good basketball so far this season. I think Mike Brown's really been confident about him and wanting him to get to shoot the ball more. We saw him almost get pulled out of the game for not shooting. But getting back to the Monk, not Mitchell thing, yeah, Mitchell's going to start the game for the Kings at point guard. And I'm not sure how it's going to work out. I have been very, very candid about how Davion Mitchell so far this season has looked very robotic, running the offense, not natural. Does that change with increased playing time, increased minutes? Maybe it does, but you have to fill that scoring gap somewhere in that point guard position. And as C-Dog pointed out, that's Malik Monk. Mike Brown talked about Malik's ability to run the offense. In fact, down the stretch against the Lakers, Malik was playing some point guard, and Mike Brown was pleased with how Monk was playing at that position. But Malik, you know, him and Sabonis, we don't see a ton of that. But when we do see them together, they have pretty good chemistry. We've seen the chemistry developing between Sabonis and JaVale McGee already this season. So 2 different players, certainly the way Sabonis plays and JaVale. But Monk's going to have to put some pressure on that Warriors defense. And one thing, too, Monk can't do, and there was a little bit too much of this against the Lakers, getting caught in the air. You can't. Davion was picking up his dribble a little too much, and Monk was getting caught in the air with no place to go. Got to be a little bit better tonight, especially against Golden State. So I think you're also, here's the other name, Colby Jones. Mike Brown expects for Colby to get his first NBA action tonight. Definitely a tough stage to step onto against a veteran backcourt that the Warriors have. But Colby played well towards the end of the preseason. Certainly they play a little bit different in the regular season, scouted a little bit different. If there is one positive, not a ton of tape on Colby. So maybe the Kings do it a little bit differently tonight, whether that's slowing it down or playing a little bit more pressure defense, because Colby is a pretty good defender from what we've seen in the preseason. Let's get to Cody. He's saying, do not let Looney bully Sabonis. I don't think he's going to bully Sabonis. He's just a little bit more athletic than Sabonis, Cody. He's crafty. You know, he's not one of those guys like JaVale where you're going to put a body on him and, you know, if you get a good check out, you'll get him out of the lane. He's very crafty. He's very athletic. But Sabonis needs to impose his brand of basketball on Looney as much as possible. And speaking of that, the Kings are going to have to find some type of way to get to the rim tonight. We talked about Monk a second ago, but maybe that starts down low. That starts with Sabonis. That starts with Harrison Barnes. Harrison has been excellent from the mid-range so far this season, and it's going to take all of those little things added up, but don't discount the Kings tonight. Think about some of the games last season, and I know it was a different season, but the reality is this is a team that's running it back. The majority of the core of this Sacramento Kings team is back. So look for some of the same things that they did last year when they were down a significant player, whether it was Sabonis, whether it was Fox. I mean, I think of the LA Lakers game last year where Rashawn Holmes came in for Sabonis when Sabonis was out due to an illness. And everybody rallied, picked it up, got a big win on the road. So maybe they pull together tonight, get this one for Foxy. Either way, I would like to see the Kings keep it competitive and show that they can win in different ways besides just one style of basketball. And if there's another good thing to point at too, the Kings shooting the three ball, it hasn't been a big priority this year. I mean, they're still quietly getting up 43 pointers, which is a lot, but it is today's NBA, as BJ was kind of pointing out about the difference in play. It's a different NBA. So maybe the Kings are more intentional with the three ball. We will see as tip-off approaches. We're about 25 minutes from that. So we appreciate you tuning in. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. This is the pregame show on If You Don't Like That. Keep the comments coming. I am going to get to as many as possible. Thank you, Petrusev. I can't say it right now. Petrusev? Is that how you say it? Petrusev? Yeah. So I was trying to figure out how to say it exactly. Alberto, why the Boise State sweater? I am an Aztec, but my brother is a Bronco. So I support both teams. I do love Boise. That's a beautiful city. So that is the one time you will catch me not rocking SDSU gear. Carl, let's see. I expect a triple-double from the Ox. I haven't heard the Ox before, Carl. That's a new one. All right. That could be a potential Sabonis nickname. A lot of Sabonis. I know that's your brother. In Serbia, and I appreciate the help. I will have that fixed by the halftime show. I promise you. You know I will fix that indeed. The NBA tournament or the in-season tournament starts in middle of November, start of November. I don't think Fox will be back by then. That's only 9 days away, which is another couple games. I think realistically, you're not going to see De'Aaron. I would think closer to the end of November, unless he responds really well to treatment, which could definitely happen. I mean, there's a lot of different treatments going on for very regular injuries that we see in sports. The first one that comes to mind, and it's more serious, Aaron Rodgers with his torn Achilles. He's doing a completely different rehab program, and he's already like walking on his foot. He was throwing some balls this last weekend. So, maybe De'Aaron is able to respond well. That will be told, and certainly we'll keep a close eye upon that. Let's see. We got another one from B-Row. Kings have played well in the past when De'Aaron has missed games. That's true. They have. Weren't they like 2-0 without De'Aaron? C-Dog, pick me up here. You have the big bank of knowledge in your head. I want to say they were 2-0 without De'Aaron last year, unless maybe not. They may have lost that last game against Denver to close out the season, because I know the Kings sat their starters the majority of that game. But the big thing with Davion Mitchell, right? Huge thing is he needs minutes to get into the flow of the game. We've heard it for the last 2 years. So if he gets those minutes, who knows? Maybe he can get into the flow of things. I mean, he was shooting the ball much better in the preseason. And when I say better, that's on a curve, because he is not a great shooter, is not proved to be that yet. But he did work with Curry's shooting coach this last season, in the off season. So who knows? Maybe he does get it going. Let's see. We got another comment about the Kings. As a Kings fan, I'm sad Mitchell is going to start tonight, but something happened to him after his rookie season because he has not been the same. Maybe he needs a fresh start on another team. Could be. I mean, guys go through that. The first one that comes to mind is Kyle Lowry. He was not a great offensive player in his first couple of years in the NBA, gets a change of scenery, and guess what? Different system, different guys around him. That changes his game. Ultimately, I think you mature as an NBA player and you get coaches that really, really focus in and really work those parts of your game that need to improve in a different way than you saw for the first couple of years of your career. But, this is not the best system for Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell would be great in like an LA Lakers system because they like to slow it down. They like to be more intentional. Kings, not so much. But I would caution you and everybody else. It is early in the season. We're only like 2 weeks, week and a half into the season. So let's see how he does. You got to give him a decent sample size. But yes, the leash is a little bit shorter for Davion because he's proven there's a big enough sample size to say what the expected result should be with him when it's not going the right way. Keith, I love this comment. He hopes that Kevin gets 10 plus points tonight. They got to pick up the scoring someplace. And Kevin, I was so happy for Kevin. He got the defensive player of the game chain last game, got to light the beam, hit the huge 3 to ice the game against the Lakers. But just overall, he looked like a more confident player. The spacing on the floor with the starters when he was on the floor was so much better than it had been in the first couple games of the season. He just looked more comfortable. So let's hope he can carry that over. I mean, Kevin, he is such a great shooter. He just needs to see a couple go through the hoop. And credit to Mike Brown for really sticking with him and not wavering. And I know it was only the 3rd game of the season, but still, Mike Brown kept him in. He gave him significant minutes, even when the shot was not falling. So Kevin needs to have a good one. 10 plus would be great. I would say Kevin needs to probably be closer to 20 tonight for the Kings to win the basketball game. But Kevin also needs to be 4 or 5 rebounds, 2-3 assists, especially with the way that he can play the 2-man game with Sabonis with the dribble handoff. And we'll see if the Kings go a little bit more dribble handoff tonight against the Warriors. And speaking of which, they sagged off Sabonis again in the first game this season in Sacramento. So I would expect Sabonis is going to have to pull that for this offense, I should say. For the starting offense, Sabonis is going to have to pull that jump shot from 15, 16, 18 feet and make the defense come out because that's going to open up the lane for somebody like Monk, for Davion possibly. So it's the little things that make the big difference with this team. BJ, getting another Sabonis comment. Sabonis needs to get the ball to a guard. No, he doesn't. Absolutely not, BJ. I'm not saying he needs to take it coast to coast all the way, but Mike Brown has actually preached the opposite. He wants Sabonis bringing the ball up if it is within the flow of the game. He doesn't want him to force it, but if they're on a break and he's got guys on the wing and they have numbers, he wants Sabonis to bring it. Same thing with Keegan Murray. So I am totally fine with that. And name me another big man in the NBA besides Jokic that can pass the ball like Sabonis. So I think there is nothing wrong with that. And he is doing as Mike Brown says. Yeah, don't forget Barnes. Exactly. We touched on him. He must have high numbers. And the thing about Barnes is he never forces it, right? It's always within the flow of the offense. He knows what the team needs at times. So yeah, you can't tonight. You cannot have a quiet night from 1 through 5. You have to get something. And even though Davion's starting, I would expect Monk to be the first guy off the bench, and I would expect Monk to be the guy with the ball in his hands at the end of the game, running the point. So, but you gotta have production 1 through 5. There's no doubt about that tonight. You guys know what I'm going to tell you about next. It's our favorite place in Sacramento. That's right, Bennett's Westside Grill. That's the new location in Rockland. If you haven't already, go check it out. Beautiful restaurant, amazing food, prime cuts of steak, great seafood, fresh seafood. and just an amazing bar too. They've got a great happy hour. Hey, if you guys are having a private event, go check out their private dining rooms. They can fit up to 10, 15, 20 people, whatever your group may need. But go check out Bennett's, huge sponsor of the show. Brian Bennett and his staff do it unlike any other in Sacramento. Grant and I love the redfish there. We talk about it all the time, but they've got something for you. Also check out their weekend brunch specials. They got the mimosas flowing and some really good ambiance with the patio. At multiple locations, also locations off of Howe and Fair Oaks, and then one location also in Roseville. Bennett's West Side Grill in Roseville. All right, we're getting closer and closer to tip-off. Let's get some more of your comments in here. I love it. Keep bringing the comments. Love the questions so far. Let's get to Kimbrel. Herder needs to continue to contribute. Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody on the Kings needs to contribute today. It's one of those things where you're going to have a guy or two surprise you and pick you up where you're least going to expect it. Maybe that's Colby Jones tonight. But the Kings, they've got to – Mike Brown, actually – I'm going to go here really quick. Mike Brown needs to be a little quicker with the rotations against a team like the Warriors because this is the Chris Paul effect. We talked about it at the top of the show. Chris Paul is not looking to score. He'll pull. He'll certainly pull if you leave him wide open, but he's looking to distribute. So, you think about the great Warriors teams when they were winning multiple championships. You think about the guys chasing Curry, Thompson around off pin screens, back screens, down screens. And those guys were like Energizer bunnies running around the court. Well, that's what's happening again now. And Steph's training this last year, unreal in the offseason. I mean, his lower half looks so much stronger than it ever has. But you have Steph off the ball because you have Chris Paul now bringing the ball up and distributing, which means the Kings guards are going to be chasing. They are going to be, if you're playing at a high pace on offense, and then you have to defend like that, you got to keep your guys fresh. So I think Mike Brown needs to be really, really cognizant of that tonight with his rotations. And if anybody looks a little bit tired, you got to get him off the court, get him a quick break, get a timeout for him if they can't come off the court, and get your boys right because they have to stay close to those guys tonight. And everybody, including Herder, needs to contribute. Let's see, you guys, I love all of these comments. Let's see, Greg, get Greg in here. How you doing tonight, Greg? Monk and Murray need 25 plus each, or this is a loss. I don't disagree with that. I short of somebody else having a massive game, whether it's Harrison, whether it's Sabonis. Now, if Sabonis has a massive game, we're talking about a completely different style of basketball at that point because you're not going to have the pace that the Kings normally play at. But you also have to recognize with De'Aaron Fox out, you're not going to have that pace anyways. So it could be him. But, yeah, I agree. I think those guys need to have big games, whether it's 25 plus or not. They are going to have to step up. And this team rallies. I know. You're going to kill me, Baki. I will get it right. But this team rallies around each other. So I am hoping 100% that they do that again tonight and shock the Warriors. Look, they see the Warriors multiple times at the beginning of the season. It was only one game when they came into Sacramento, and I know it leaves a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth because of the way last season ended, but they're going to be fine. The Warriors, and Matthew put it perfectly, the Warriors have started out hot. They have. So, maybe this is the night that the Kings are able to get something going, put a little stop to it, and come out with a big W, because this would be a huge win for the Kings. It would absolutely be a huge win for the Kings. And when I look at the stretch of basketball that the Kings are going to have coming up, there's a couple tough games. There is, but this is a stretch that's doable for the Kings. I'll read them off to you really quick. We've got Golden State tonight, right? Then you've got the Rockets twice. Those both of those games are on the road. You've got Portland in Sacramento. You've got OKC, going to be a tough game. Then you've got Cleveland. You've got the Lakers again. Then you've got San Antonio, Dallas, and 2 with New Orleans. So this could be the start of a good, what we consider a good run. In fact, put that in the comments. What do you think a good, we'll say an 8-game sample size without De'Aaron Fox? What is a good record for an 8-game stretch without De'Aaron Fox? I'd love to see what you guys think about that. In the meantime, let's get you to the NBA scoreboard right now with just only 6 seconds left. In the fourth quarter, the Nets are up 108-105 on the Heat. We got the Cavaliers up 89-82 on the Knicks. That one has 29 seconds left in the fourth. We got the Pelicans right now 98-88 over the Thunder. That would be the Thunder's second straight loss. 6:37 remaining in that game. We've got the Hornets and the Rockets. Right now, the Rockets up 94-81. 9:36 left in the fourth quarter. Nuggets and Timberwolves. Timberwolves blowing out the Nuggets in Minnesota, 91-72. 9 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter there. You got the Bulls and the Mavericks. We've got the Mavericks up 65-64 in Dallas. 7:26 to go in the third quarter there. Grizzly Jazz right now, 54-31. Jazz on top of the Grizzlies. Grizzlies have had a tough start to the season. And then Kings Warriors getting ready to tip off here in a few minutes. Also got the Battle of LA, the Clippers and the Lakers getting ready to tip off also at 7 o'clock. And then one other final score, Portland Trailblazers get a win tonight, 110-101 over Detroit. So I want to scroll down and get an idea of what you guys think in terms of schedule. Let's see. Sacto says 8-8. No, yeah, I wish, right? 8-0. Let's see. We've got 4-4. Yeah, 4-4. That would be fair. That would be fair. We've got 6-3 by Keith, or 5-3, excuse me. So yeah, 500. We're getting some more comments about that. We've got 5-3. So yeah, I think 5-3 would be the top end, right? I think if I said, hey, sign this piece of paper, Kings go 5-3 without Fox, we move on to the next game of the season. It's Minnesota after those two games against the New Orleans Pelicans. That's the top end to me. I think everybody would take 5-3. The Kings, what they can't do is sustain another injury here. But at the same time, let's see, BJ saying 4-4. 4-4 would be fine. What you can't have is 1-7. This team is too good to go 1-7 without Foxy. They've got to be better than that. And they have to find other ways to win. And this is a good time in the season to figure that out. So hopefully, as we said, De'Aaron can come back as soon as possible. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a tough thing for the Kings. And Colby Jones, let's hope that, Colby ends up playing well in his first minutes. I think that would be very encouraging for everybody here in Sacramento. 1-0. Texas on top of the Arizona Diamondbacks in the seventh inning. No, it's not 1-0. I got 0-0 right now. I don't know who put 1-0. Speaking of Texas, how about Bobby Knight? Did you guys hear about his passing? Oh, that was a killer for me. Bobby Knight, I thought he was just one of the best coaches of all time. Me personally, that's the type of guy I would like to play for. But very sad on his passing. Certainly thoughts and prayers to his family. Basketball legend. Very intense guy. I think we can all agree on that at the very minimum. So let's see. Carf, he is going 4-4. Will be a win in the West. Yeah, sure. But the West is weird. Grant and I kind of got into this a little bit in the last post-game show. The only team in the West that we are really kind of counting out at this point is Portland. We think Portland, complete rebuild. I think the Jazz still up in the air. Minnesota still up in the air. Oklahoma City, they're going to be good. I know that they're going to lose 2 in a row here, but they've got a lot of young talent. They could have a big explosion like the Kings had last year. Maybe not, go and get a 3 seed in the West, but I think that they're going to be much more talented than a lot of people are giving them credit for. And the Lakers, I think they're going to fall off. The injuries are going to catch up to the Lakers, and I just don't see it being successful. But Rob Pelinka has made some great moves as GM in the last 18 months, so who knows? They can always retool at the trade deadline. There's no doubt about that. We haven't even touched on James Harden. I know we talked about the trade with, I'm just going to call him Philip right now until I figure it out. But we haven't touched on James Harden and how that's going to affect the Clippers. I don't think it's going to really do much for the Clippers, but it will be interesting to get Grant and Jerry's take on that at halftime. Speaking of which, Grant and Jerry will be back at halftime, as I just said, and then Grant and I will wrap up the night tonight after the game with the post-game show. Make sure, please, again, if you are new to the channel, this is If You Don't Like That. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. Give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We're not going to send you any weird emails. If you're watching on Twitter Live, thanks for tuning in there. If you want to go a step further and be a part of the show and comment, hop over to YouTube. You can get your comments in there, and we can discuss those a little bit more. But all right, so we're getting a little bit closer. We're probably going to hop off here in a second. VJ says flying chairs. Yes, or folding chairs, yeah. So my sophomore year at SDSU, we played Texas Tech. We were supposed to get beat by 25-30. We ended up losing by like 11 or 12. After the game, before we even got back into the visitors' locker room, the Texas Tech guys were already in the weight room. They had a weight room down below the arena, and Knight was in there screaming at him. And it's just like one of those things. It's like, am I really watching this right now? It's cool to see. I think it was right around that time. It was either right before or right after they did that whole night school thing on ESPN where they gave a student a chance to win a spot on the roster. So anyways, Bobby Knight's passing, big deal. Rest in peace to him. And now my TV has Texas up 1-0 in the 7th. On the Diamondbacks. Texas could close it out tonight. Grant's friend is actually behind the plate, umping the game tonight. How about that? That's pretty special. So I'm sure he'll talk a little bit more about that. Guerrero, we're going to disagree here. Kings can't win without Fox. Last season, Kings were doing well without it. Oh, can win. Sorry, I can't read. I always forget to bring my glasses to this show. Yes, they can. Guerrero, we're 100% on the same page. We were saying that before, and you are right, my friend. They can win without Fox. It's going to take a group effort indeed, which goes without saying. So anyways, Kings, normal starting lineup minus Foxy. Davion Mitchell is going to be stepping in for him. Warriors, they're going with their typical starting 5, including Draymond Green, who is back. So they're getting ready, another couple minutes till they tip it off here in San Francisco. But looking forward to this one. Again, join us back at halftime. Grant and the one and only Jerry Reynolds will be back. We will make sure he got back from Tahoe, okay? If you guys didn't get a chance, the halftime show from the Lakers game, it was great. Jerry telling the story, he forgot his cell phone in Tahoe, so he had to drive back the next day. So, and David knows he knows the thing that we do. We put our scores up. Where'd your score go? There you go, David. He's got 137, 129 Kings. So, all right, we're gonna get ready to wrap things up. Get you guys over to the game. Thank you so much for tuning in to the pregame show. We will be back at halftime. Grant Napier, Jerry Reynolds will be here. So, BJ, you can get your comment into Grant then. But in the meantime, enjoy the first half. We'll see you at halftime. Go Kings, light the beam.